Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Unfiltered Tea. We're back. Oh my God. The last 48 hours, if you are a maniac and you have an internet connection and you're on, I don't know, anything from the Bird app to Threads. Oh boy, has it been exhausting. Although I will say I am here for Mainesplaining trending because I didn't realize that was a thing. And oh my God, is it? Oh my God, is it? And I understand why. Okay, so if you're a transplant, now you know why maniacs get very, very feisty over from away versus not from away. So, you'll notice tonight I got my green lights on in the background because we're going and my sign, we're going full Derigo bitches. That's what we are doing tonight. So we are going to talk a little bit about the entire internet kerfuffle around one of our primary candidates and why it is sucking all of the air out of conversations we really should have and don't seem to be having, and things like that. So, pull up your soapbox, grab yourself a cuppa. Let me know in the chat where you're coming in from. If you're from Maine, let me know where in Maine you're coming in from, or leave it in the comments because I'm curious and what you're sipping on while you're hanging out with us tonight. Me, I had to. I had to. The choices were Moxie or Allen's Coffee Brandy. Not sponsored. Definitely not sponsored. Um so and I've got notes, only some of which, by the way. I have so many notes on tonight's show that so StreamYard has this new feature, this new teleprompter feature. I'm not using it as a teleprompter, but it has this new feature and you can upload your notes into it. Very, very cool. My notes are into it. Did I silence my phone? No, I did not. Is my phone going off? Yes, it is, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it at the moment? Watch, it'll be, you know, somebody that I've asked to reach out to me and I'm just ignoring it. Whatever. Streaming is dynamic, right? Anyway, so I have my notes and I have them loaded into this teleprompter feature. But fun fact, I wrote so many notes for tonight's show that it would only take some of the notes. Um, Also, I am getting some weird flashy stuff on my end. I don't know if it's my connection or a critter or what. If it is flashing on your end, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that it's, I don't know, a glitch in the matrix or something. So, with that, let me go ahead, roll the intro. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Tonight's going to get spicy. Tonight, buckle up, Buttercup. Um, I have some thoughts on the whole thing. So let me go ahead and roll the intro, and we. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about politics, pop culture, and courts, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. Let's go. Did I cut myself off when I went to run the intro? Absolutely I did. Absolutely I did. Wouldn't be a stream if I didn't do something like that. So, my in-ears. My in-ears are driving me crazy. So, what are we looking at tonight? Um, well, the internet has just gone completely insane, and I I don't know who I'm voting for yet. Um, and before we get any farther, full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I myself am a biscuit. I myself am a biscuit. I will own that. If you are not from Maine, you have no idea what I just referenced, probably. So, there is this old joke in Maine of, what does it take to be a Mainer, blah, blah, blah. And this old Mainer is talking to somebody who's from away and they moved there and they're discussing, well, I've been here 20 years, I've been here 30 years, what have you. Am I a Mainer? Mom is saying there have been some visual glitches. Okay. Mom, if that keeps up, will you or chat, mom, both. Let me know if it doesn't stabilize, because if it doesn't, we're just gonna have to take a little pause and I will reboot the system. Because of course I might have to do that. So it seems to be stabilizing on this end. If we start to see it again, I'll reboot the system. Um okay. Somebody from away, been here 20 some odd years. Am I a Mainer yet? And the old Mainer says, well, no, that's just never going to happen. And you got to be born here. And the person from away says, well, what about my kids? They were born here. And the Mainer says, well, just because your cat had kittens in the oven don't make them biscuits now, do they? That I said that wrong. Anyway, I was not born in Maine. I was born in Connecticut. I know. I know. Everybody take a breath. I'm aware. However, my father was born in Maine. His parents, well, mother, longtime Mainer. My mother was a summer kid. So she used to summer up here. That puts me firmly in biscuit territory. And I'm about like 3/4 Mainer. I was raised here, but I didn't get here until I was 7. I still haven't forgiven the parents for that, but they did the best they could. So, I am a biscuit. I am not a so that's my full disclosure. However, in all of the ways that you can be a Mainer, the 16 counties song, got that in my head. I was definitely raised here and I have come home to live here. Am I a full Mainer by those standards? Nope, absolutely not. But I maintain I'm a biscuit. I'm a biscuit. The oven was Connecticut, but I'm a biscuit. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, first of all, what should we be talking about? We should be talking about the government shutdown, the Speaker of the House not swearing in an elected member of the House because she's on the other side. I don't care what he says. That's the reason. It's clear as day. The, I don't know, illegal destruction of the people's house by our current supposed president. The quote unquote young Republicans, most of whom are over the age of 25, and a significant portion of them are in their mid 30s, having some very alarming views in the present day, and they are not owning that at all. The unaliving of fishermen with seemingly no rhyme or reason by our president for things. The fact that over 7 million people gathered to protest and had not a single violent incident from what I have heard. The fact that millions of families are about to be hungrier than they already were because of the government shutdown. Um, then we also have the very important gubernatorial election happening in Virginia. There are major elections happening in, I believe, Georgia and one in Pennsylvania. And we have the referendum ballot questions here in Maine. I'm still seeing visual glitching on my end. So, and what I am going to do is I am going to bear with me, guys. I need to do a reboot on this end. Very sorry about that. Is the glitching super bad? I can't tell if I need to restart or not. And more gerrymandering. Dad says more gerrymandering. He is coming in with apple cider, the sweet kind, not the hard kind. I don't know, Dad. You might want. Do we have any Applejack in the house? You might need some. Um, as we go through this. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Hang on. The computer tonight. Uh, well, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I gotta reboot. I'll be right back. Let's see if that fixes anything. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. We're just gonna go along. We're just going to go along. So, those are all of the things that we should be talking about. Instead, what are we talking about? We are talking about things like, could somebody have gone along for 18 years with a tattoo with negative connotations and not clocked it for 18 years? Yeah. Yeah. I know that's uncomfortable to hear, but the answer is yes. Um, and the okay. Um, distracted by chats rolling in saying glitches aren't too bad. That's good to know. Um, could somebody have gone for 18 years and not clocked that tattoo? Yeah, because I wouldn't have clocked it right away. And I know more symbols than your average bear of that particular group. So it's not, and I'm in District 2. I'm in the more urban section of what is very much rural Maine. And it is different. I'm not necessarily saying it's right, but it does not surprise me in the least that nobody clocked that particular tattoo for 18 years, especially after coming back. And for everybody saying, oh, I'll bet some Yahtzee went up and said something to him. Probably not. Truly, probably not. Because I'm not even sure some of them would have clocked it. Maybe, maybe not. It I've seen way worse on people in these parts where they have gotten them covered up, yeah. Um, and they have also changed their views. I also find it really, really difficult to believe that somebody posting vehemently anti-fascist sentiments is a secret fascist. He's answered all of these things so far. I don't know what's going to come out. I have no idea. What I do know, I have linked her first article in the description of this video, and she is doing follow up. She also has a day job and needs to focus on that. But Shay is a wonderful content creator and human being. She is local to Maine. Um, you can find her on Substack and on the socials. She is Black Girl in Maine. And you know what? When we're dealing with things like racism and whatnot, I'm going to defer to her on this one because I am melanin deficient over here. So I'm going to defer to her. I do. There's also been the Fetterman issue. I'm going to get to that. I am going to get to the Fetterman issue because I'm gonna talk about that, um, in a moment. But, oh my goodness, the sheer national attention on all of this is wild to me. I now understand completely why we just let New Hampshire take this. Because we don't. And everybody's getting mad at Mainers going, "Can you stop mansplaining to us?" "Oh, well, we're gonna be affected by this too." Absolutely you are. But here's the thing. Mainers know how Mainers operate, and we do not operate in a way that seems entirely connected to the rest of the nation and how things go in other jurisdictions. We just don't. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, whoever the candidate is, and I don't know that it will be Platner, and I don't know that it won't be. I can be fairly certain that it won't be Mills, but I'll get to that. But the thing is, you have to be able to get on board. To win the general and to win against Susan Collins, you've got to be able to get a group of people that you don't necessarily see eye to eye with on a whole lot of stuff around here. Because, well, how to put this? Up in my neighborhood in particular, this house is a very little blue dot amongst a sea of red. Just a sea of red. But you know what? My neighbors are good people. They want the same things I want. They are frustrated by the same things I'm frustrated by. The difference is where we are getting our news, where we are getting our information. Most of the folks around me are 2, 3 generations in on this Fox News OAN um, information cycle, and they that's what they're getting. So, if you're gonna come at everybody for that, take a look at what's happening over there because they are not getting the same information that a lot of the rest of us are getting. They want the same things. The Platner got national attention when he called that out. Which is why I think everybody is still saying, "Let's keep listening to him," because he did call that out, because you have to have empathy. You have to let people grow. If you are writing off your MAGA neighbors simply because they are MAGA, they have to do more for me than just have voted for Trump. Because all the ones that I talk to, we are in line and we do agree on a whole lot of things. Um, Also, keep in mind that the last time Susan Collins was up against a Democratic candidate, the DNC chose a Rhode Island transplant who had the personality of beige wallpaper. And Susan Collins basically just had to show up in the state in a couple places, say I was born here, and boom, she locked in the vote. So electability in this state for the general is very different. Also, I'm going to swoop and then we're going to talk about what it was like in 2016 in this state with Bernie, because I caucused for Bernie. I went to the state Democratic convention, not the national, the Democratic state convention. And my experience in that, I am seeing play out very, very similarly. So let me swoop so that I haven't time stamped last week. I'll get there. Okay. Story time. Story time. Back in 2016, I switched from an independent, which I've always been, to a Democrat. because only registered voters, registered Democrat, registered Republican, could vote in the caucus. That was back when we had caucuses, now it's primary. And so my whole family, we put a D down next to our name for the first time, I think maybe in the history of any of our voting record. And we went and we caucused, and I ended up deciding to become a delegate at the state convention. And when I went there, immediately the Hillary people were trying to get me to change my vote. Well, when I was in Wyndham at the time, and Bernie had most of the room. Hillary had maybe a dozen people on her side when it was because you had to split, and Bernie people went over here and Hillary people went over here. And it was like half a dozen Hillary folks, and the entire room was for Bernie. So most of the Bernie delegates from their various precincts had very similar experiences. And so we were not inclined to change our vote at the convention because clearly our neighborhood didn't want that. And I recall all sorts of nasty things being said. You'll regret this. It's her turn. She should get this. What about electability? And the electability thing drove me nuts because there were a lot of people that I knew at the time that said they were going to vote for Trump to break stuff or vote for Bernie to fix it. And I think that sentiment was pretty widespread amongst the country. Now, some of the people who voted for Trump to break shit fell down the MAGA rabbit hole. Some did not. Some, if given the choice between somebody like Bernie, not Bernie, but somebody like him, and Trump today, would vote the progressive. Which is kind of funny because the progressives are so dead center on a global scale. It is insane to me. It is like they are just dead centered. Dad says that's the only 3 months I've ever registered in any political party. I have kept my affiliation. I truly don't know why. It's mostly been out of laziness and the ability to vote in caucuses or primaries. However, Maine has since changed that. So I might go back to being a registered independent because what we are seeing right now is just making me so mad. Um, and the funny thing about the tattoo kerfuffle is that people have come out and said, why didn't he get it covered up before? Well, if he'd gotten it covered up, let's just follow this down. Let's follow that path. Let's say somebody came up to him 5 years ago and said, my dude, do you have any idea what you're wearing? And the conversation went, what? No. And I went, get that covered up. And he did. And the opposition, the call is coming from inside the House on the Democratic side. Let's say in their opposition mudslinging, they then dropped that this had all occurred 5 years ago. Then everybody would be mad that he covered it up. And okay, so he finds out, he acknowledges it. He's like, wow, this isn't me. And he gets it covered up. But apparently with the wrong tattoo or something, I don't even know. The internet is exhausting. And he's addressed it. And he's addressed it. And he's addressed it again. which is a lot more than I can say for any of the other candidates. The other thing I keep seeing is, why didn't he lead with this? Okay. Do you walk into a job interview with, just so you know, I've gotten fired from this job, I did this shitty thing, I did that shitty thing. So, I don't do those things anymore, but here's all the crap that I did? Or do you walk in with your best foot forward? Because in my experience, you walk in with your best foot forward. You can address the other stuff if it comes up, but you do not have to walk in blaring that. And the other thing is, we are not holding any of the other candidates to the same standards at the moment. Um, and Janet Mills has a problematic record with a fuck ton of things. Jordan Wood, I found out today what his platform was. I've seen his ad originally before this whole thing lit up the internet so far that even Phil DeFranco and Colbert had to cover it the other day. I was going to get on today and we were just going to look at Janet Mills' opening video, at Jordan Wood's opening video, and at Graham Platner's opening video. And instead, we're all sitting here going, wait. The primary is next year. Like, we aren't even close to the actual primary yet. There's still a lot going on. And what is more important is we have two major referendums on our main state ballot right now that are a big fucking deal. And we are not talking about them. Nobody on the news is talking about them. Nobody in the internet spaces is talking about them. Like, it is a big deal. Don't worry, chat. There will be videos dropping this weekend. I am going to go over question 1 and why you should vote no. I'm going to go over question 2 and why I think you should vote yes. And I am going to do some research on Auburn's the names on the Auburn ballot. I also have a request to go over names on the Lewiston ballot. If you have a ballot, I don't care what state, I don't care what district you're in. If you want me to go over those, please leave in the comments. If you want a video for the local, because that's what we have to vote on next, and that's what we should be looking at, and that is super important. And I don't know how it is outside of this state, but sometimes I swear the more local it is, the more those representatives hide all their social media and stuff like that so that you cannot find out where they stand on anything. It's very frustrating. But let me know in the comments, let me know in on the socials if you want me to cover anything else. Right now we have Auburn, Maine, Lewiston, Maine, because that's in my backyard. I have to do it anyway, so I'm going to share it with you. And the 2 referendum questions, those videos will be shorter. It won't be a live stream. They'll just be videos, and I will be dropping those hopefully this weekend so that we can get a little information ahead of time. Focusing on what we need to focus on instead of, is Graham Platner who he says he is? I don't know. What I will say is that I have never in my life seen a politician handle this kind of stuff quite as well. That's not true. I have not seen your average establishment Democrat politicians or Republican politicians handle this sort of attacks. And, cheers to equality. We have a cis het white dude getting the same treatment that we have given women candidates, and we have a 77-year-old woman who is getting straight white dude treatment. You know, I'm here for equality. I'm here for equality. So, there. Um, Dad points out we do have ranked choice voting in the primary and the general for the Senate. Ranked choice. Guys, get in on this. If your state doesn't have ranked choice voting, you need to do that. Now, Maine, 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 guys, just us, just us. Can we please fix our constitution? Could we get a constitutional amendment going um, so that we can have ranked choice voting for the governor? Because the gubernatorial race is, we will get there. Um, I suspect by the time we get to the governor's race, we're gonna be all over the national news again. So, and we're gonna be mainsplained too a lot again, but we definitely need ranked choice voting for that. So, what does ranked choice voting mean for us here? It means you choose your first choice and you choose your second choice, and it goes on down the line. And if you don't win on round one, then it reorganizes. This is how Jared Golden got elected, and it's better than Bruce Poliquin. So there's that. Yeah. Swoop. I'm going to swoop, and then we are going to discuss the other thing that keeps popping up, which is Fetterman. Oh, he's another Fetterman. Oh, Platner's another Fetterman. Fetterman is his own thing. And Cinema. Cinema got ousted the second she didn't uphold what she ran on. The same thing is going to happen to Fetterman. And if Platner gets elected and goes to DC and turns out to be like them, he's also going to get ousted. At this point, the government is shut down. The government is destroying a section of the White House, and legacy media is focused way too much on our primary, given that those are actual things happening right now that have major connotations for things. So I'm going to swoop and we're going to talk Fetterman. This neither duopoly party in the state wants to lose the advantages of being able to encourage a spoiler candidate. You got it. I mean, that's the thing. The Fetterman problem. Why is Fetterman different? Well, first of all, the man ran, the man got elected, then he had a stroke. Now, I don't know about you. It's been a while since I have directly interacted with somebody who has had a stroke in the past. It doesn't always change who you are, your personality, or how you operate in the world. But it can. Sometimes it does not change your core beliefs or things like that, but it can. It is a thing that affects your brain. And Fetterman got elected, had the stroke, rehabilitated from the stroke, disappeared for like a month, came back, and now has proceeded to vote in lockstep with the Republicans on a wild amount of things. And folks in Pennsylvania, some of you have come forward and said we saw this from the beginning. Sometimes I think that is accurate. I don't know. I'm not in Pennsylvania. I wasn't looking at that. I'm not going to try and explain Pennsylvania to Pennsylvanians because I don't know. I do think that Fetterman is different than the Platner situation by a lot. Because of the stroke. And I'm not saying he can't do the job. I'm certainly not saying that anybody who's had a stroke can't then still be in the legislature. But I do think it is fair to have asked more questions than maybe were asked when he was coming back to serve after his rehabilitation. I also warning cockeyed conspiracy theory, like we're going to enter the wild realm. This is RFK level. Like, come on, guys, just bear with me here. The Fetterman thing makes me wonder. Not really. Makes me wonder if that level of conservatism um is perhaps a if perhaps the Trump derangement syndrome is actually a bad name for a real thing. It's just the opposite of what they say it is. Just a thought. I'm not asking anybody to truly study this, because I think that's a completely Looney Tunes actual idea. But I will say that when it comes to Fetterman, I do think the stroke affected him. I think it affected how he thinks. And I think some things stayed the same and other things changed. And I don't, uh, anyone I have encountered who has had a stroke, whether they have been rehabilitated or not, there are changes to their thought process. I don't know. I'm sure they're out there. I just don't know as anybody has had that level of a stroke, turned around and come back and been exactly the same. I have not seen that. Um, it's sort of like there are other diseases like Parkinson's is one that affects the brain. And some folks can be super mean their entire lives, and them suddenly becoming nice is what triggers somebody to realize that maybe they have Parkinson's, and the opposite also happens. So I'm just saying, since we know that when the brain goes through some stuff, changes in personality are a real thing that do happen. And I honestly believe that is what happened with Fetterman. Um, Maybe I'm wrong. I have absolutely no idea. I never met the man. I have met Bernie. I have gone and seen Platner in a town hall. I have seen him listen to questions, and I watched the Pod Save America interview, which is linked in the description so that you can go watch it yourself. Um, I think we need to have room for those things. Um, the other thing that I wanted to talk about. All right, swoop, and then we will get back to Platner. Because the other stuff, like, well, he said stupid shit when he was in the Marines. And this is where I'm at. And because I my early college days, I worked campus security. Every single one of the full-time campus security guys had been in some branch of the military. I think we covered everything. Um, there is and I spoke in a different way back then because society and things like that. I mean, things like girls better watch their drink and all of that. We know more now. We know that that's a stupid thing to say now, but it was a pretty common thing. I when I was preparing for back to for going off to college in 2000 2001, I think I literally purchased sippy cups because of that idea. So, and his questions about tipping, what have you, Is it racist? Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Does it surprise me that somebody from a rural part of Maine is gonna be asking some racist questions? No. Do I think he thought of them as racist at the time? Also, no, because is it right? No, but it's a bubble. It's a bubble. I know a lot of people also had a hard time with the R word being said. Okay. Maine and Massachusetts have used that word in a different context than most of the rest of the nation, it seems, for a very long time. It has been a struggle for a whole lot of folks to back away from using that word. And like with a lot of things, racism, sexism, stuff like that, sometimes you need somebody to say, whoa, that's fucked up, and here's why. And then what do you do with that information is what is important. Because if you take the information in and you apologize for it and you then move on, great. Also, if you're white and you think for 1 second you have not accidentally said something racist or sexist, I don't understand how you are a human being. Because you probably have. I know I have. I can't think of any of them off the top of my head because when confronted with it, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. And then I adjust and I apologize and you don't do it again. It's not that hard. You say, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and you move on. The more you try and defend shit, the more you're like, "Well, I didn't mean it that way, and I didn't do this, and I didn't, and you know what I'm seeing from Platner? It was explained to me, and I went, "Oh, that makes sense," and I moved on and didn't do it again. That everything he's been hit with, that is what I am seeing. Whether that plays out, whether we keep getting hit with stuff and 5 months down the line, I'm over it, time will tell. I don't care right now. Right now, I care about the actual stuff that is actually happening, like millions of Mainers about to lose SNAP benefits. The fact that the beloved governor will not seemingly sign a bill that would help cops keep people safe from ICE in the state. This is real convenient for her to not have to answer for that. Eh. Anyway, there is we are a predominantly white state. I'm not saying that's right. That's just facts. This is a state that has a very racist history. Whether we want to own that or not, I don't know, but it's the facts. If you're in South Portland and you're in Knightsville, that was gonna be named, I think, don't quote me on this because we're going back to my junior year history class. I think it was gonna be named Clansville, and they decided that was just a little too overt, so they went with Knightsville instead. You will encounter town names like that throughout the state. It's not pretty. It is, though. And I have been in places in Maine where the slurs that people hear on the daily um are alarming if you come from a more populated area and have seen people who have melanin in their skin of any level. Um so in all of this, the conversation around all of this, it's just starting, but it is exhausting. So when we're talking about stuff like this, also, The vetting process. It's this. It's now. This is the vetting process. The idea that the vetting has to happen from some back room somewhere, and then that's how you get Hillary Clinton. That's how we got Obama. And it's fine. I like Obama. But Obama was a centrist, a right-leaning centrist. He has gotten more progressive in his later years. They all seem to get more progressive when they are not in power. Um, Dad says Maine is tied with Vermont for the largest percentage of whites in the nation. It's pale. It's pale up in here. It is. It is so pale up in here that I don't think she will mind if I share this story. When I was living in Rhode Island for a time, and I just started working at a grocery store, and the girl training me was black, and she sits down and we're training, and she looks at me and she goes, "You ever seen a black person before?" And I was like, yes. Yes, I have. Have I said or done something that's offensive? Because that's very possible, and I don't know what it is, so you're gonna have to tell me so I don't do it again. And she was like, "No, no, no, girl, you're fine. I just figured you from Maine, you'd never seen a black person before." Fair, fair. I happen to grow up in South Portland and Portland, so we had a lot of immigrants, and I've seen a lot of different colors and heard a whole lot of different languages. But outside of that city bubble, it gets whiter and whiter and whiter. And it is a bubble. And I don't care what you see on TV, it is a bubble. And in that mainsplaining thing, to circle this back around before I say good night and we all log off and we get around to talking about, actual issues that matter now as opposed to 6 to 8 months from now. Calendar math is hard. Um, Here's what I'm gonna say. Maine runs different. We are a fiercely independent group. We don't like people coming from away to tell us how we ought to live. And for the most part, whether you agree on politics or you do not, we all want the same things for our neighbors. Not all of us. There's a tiny percentage of MAGA, or I mean, in any group, you're going to get 5 to 10% asshole. I'm not talking about them. Pardon me. I am talking about the rest of us and the people that we need to win in elections in this state need to be able to speak to everyone. And I do mean everyone. And so there are, like I said, I am a blue house amongst a sea of red. If we have a candidate who can appeal to the sea of red and me, that's who we need to go with. You know who's not on that list? Janet Mills. Janet Mills is not on that list. She is just not. And part of what makes Mainers so mad about this entire thing is that it is a poorly kept secret that this is national puppetry in our state. We don't like that. We don't take kindly to it. Um, Again, we take very poorly to transplants and tourism, and we need them. So, like, it's it's dicey. Um, but let's not forget, we also put forth candidates like we put forth people like George Mitchell and Margaret Chase Smith. There is the saying, as Maine goes, so goes the nation. And I've seen that play out time and time and time again. We got LePage, the nation got Trump. So can we not go through that playbook again? And I'm here for Mainesplaining trending. I'm here for that now being a thing. So now, pro tip, if you are from away and a maniac tells you you are Mainesplaining, maybe stop and listen and hear what that maniac has to say. Because, I currently live 25 minutes from the birthplace of Moxie. We are the state with a pine cone for a state flower. We created Allen's Coffee, Brandy, and Moxie. If you haven't had them, just for yucks, give them a try. They're kind of like uh cough syrup, but they're delightful cough syrup. But they ain't for the faint of heart. Um, Dad says, Derigo, I lead. That's our main state motto. That is our main state motto, is Derigo, which is I lead. So anyway, that is my rant. That is my soapbox. I'm going to check the notes that didn't make it into my teleprompter thing, and we will see. And then I think I'll probably let you go so you do not have to listen to me rant any longer. Um, there's more ranting that we can have. Oh, no. I wanna put this out here. I wanna put this out here one more time because I put this out here on Threads, and I've gotten no callbacks yet. So, Janet Mills, if you are listening, Jordan Wood, if you are listening, any of the other candidates in this race, if you are listening, Graham Platner, I already left my information with when I went to the town hall. He's been a little busy the last few days, handling national media news requests. So our little community is probably not going to get the time of day, which is fine. But I'm just saying, anybody who's running in this apparently now spotlit primary that is now going to give me a migraine for the next 7 months. Um, are you a candidate? Cool. Come on my show. Let's talk. Also, since apparently this is what everybody in the internet world wants these days, bring all your skeletons. It's Halloween. Let's set them up on the front yard. All your skeletons in your closet, bring them, put it out there. If we are going to do this based on skeletons in the closet, let's level the playing field and let's see what you got. I want to ask the questions and I'll listen to the answers. And then the voting population can listen to your answers. And we'll see where we're at. So that's my call. That is my call to the candidates. And here's the other thing. If any of that happens, stay tuned on the socials because should I get a call from anybody and they do want to do this, oh, you bet I'm going to crowdsource those questions. You bet I'm going to do it. So that would be my dog having a say about this show and telling me that I should probably wrap up. Where did my notes go again? I lost my notes again. Oh my goodness. And this is not the set of well, considering this and considering that call, thank you for being here. I could have a whole lot more to say, but you know what? I'm not dealing with the primary until I'm not dealing we can circle back after election day, but from now until election day, what I need to focus on here with you, with this community, is we need to figure out I need to figure out getting the videos out there so we know about question 1, we know about question 2 in the state of Maine. If you are not in Maine and you need some explanations or some dives on things in your state, leave it in the comments, send it to me, drop me a DM on the socials. I'm happy to do the research. Um, Keep in mind, I've got a day job, so time is limited. But um, if you're in Georgia, please take a look at what is coming up because I cannot remember what it is, but I know it's important. Same with Pennsylvania. Virginia, it's possible that Mandy is going to join me for the uh, shit show that was the debate between their two gubernatorial candidates, and that's one we need to be looking at. Oh, yes, Dad is reminding me. Ballotopia is a fantastic resource. I will try and remember to link it in here, but if you put this in to Google, it should pop up. And it is a fantastic resource for everything local, all your great elections. Again, Shay is linked in the description. The Pod Save America interview is linked in the description. Y'all, if you're going to tell us Mainers how to live our life, come visit. And, go on up to camp. Go on up to camp. Like up to camp. Okay? Meet some folks up there, have a conversation with them. Have an actual conversation. Don't just tell them how we ought to live cuz we don't take kindly to that. Clearly, you've noticed. Um with all of that, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here this evening. You guys are amazing. This is a great community. I'm very happy to be here. If you are new to all of us here, drop a like, hit the subscribe. You found me on the socials probably and are here now through that, or vice versa. Anyway, that's where we're at. I am looking for my information on this. There we go. Okay. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, have your cups, be well, do good, and remember to bark a lot. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.